Hello, bonsoir, and welcome to the Get French Football News Show. I'm Nathan Staples, and joining me this week, as always, are Eric Devin and Philippe Bargil. League 1 action came back with a bang this weekend as teams look to start the second half of the campaign in style. But before we dive into this week's topics, here is the latest news. Paris Saint-Germain got this weekend's return to Ligue 1 off to the expected start, a 2-0 win over Bastia at the Parc des Princes, with Maxwell and Thiago Motta making rare appearances on the scoresheet. Saturday's early match was a grand event as Lyon marked the returns of Samuel Umtiti and Christophe Jallet with a 4-1 win over Troyes, a result that probably wasn't safe until Jordan Ferry's spectacular goal 10 minutes from time. Oh, and the club also opened their new stadium, which was impressive indeed and packed to the rafters. In the multiplex, we were treated to goals for a welcome change as Rennes fought back for what else a draw from at home, 2-2 against Lorient in a match that marked the return of Yoann Gourcuff. Monaco notched a similar result at home against Gazélec Ajaccio, who have now extended their unbeaten run in the league to 10. Bordeaux, meanwhile, travelled to Montpellier for the league debut of new managers Bruno Martini and Pascal Baillis, coming away with a 1-0 win in an entertaining match that saw both sides hit the woodwork. Angers easily held off Caen 2-0 with both goals coming from open play. Former Lyon striker Mohamed Yattara making his debut in feeding Billy Kekeo Fonfon for the second after Pierrick Capel had opened the scoring with a wicked shot just before half-time. Things were hardly as happy for the hosts in Reims, however, as Antoine Devoe's early goal became immaterial as Wissam Ben Yedder hit a hat-trick in the second half to propel visiting Toulouse to a much-needed 3 points, the two teams now sitting both sides of the drop zone. On Sunday, Nantes also saw a fine contribution from a debutant as Guillaume Gillet made his first start, and a memorable one as Le Canaries held off Saint-Etienne 2-1. Colbein Sigtorsson featuring for the first time in over a month and notching the winner after coming on for Yacine Bamou. Lille and Nice shared the spoils at the Stade Pierre-Mauroy, 1-1 draw not doing much to aid either team as they seek to push for the European places. The week's final match saw Guingamp and Marseille play out an abject scoreless draw at the Velodrome, a result that means l'OM failed to win at home in the league since Week 5's defeat of Bastia. In Ligue 2, Dijon were held at Niort, allowing Nancy, who won 1-0 at home to Stade Lavallois, to extend their lead at the top of the table to 4 points. Clermont, meanwhile, scored 4 goals inside the first 30 minutes to thump visiting Evian 4-1, a result which sees Corinne Diacaré's charge occupy the third promotion spot. Le Havre and Lens are 2 points behind, with Metz in action at the time of this recording, with a chance to move a point behind Clermont with a win. In injury news, Loic Perrin is set to miss a month or more for Saint-Etienne after being injured against Rouen L'Etape in the Cup last weekend, while Frédéric Thierez, the LFP president, has released a strongly worded statement about the potential role of video assistance for referees in Ligue 1. And that is it for your week's headlines. If you want to keep up to date with all things in the French football world, head on over to our website at www.getfootballnewsfrance.com and follow us on Twitter at GFN_France. Also, look out for our new transfer podcast, the GFFN Mercato Show, on iTunes and on our website. It will run through the month of January to keep you up to date with the latest rumblings around French football during the winter window. It should probably be up sometime after this live show. We start today with some breaking news that have happened in the last couple of hours as Henri Saivet's move to Newcastle United seems to be on the verge of happening. Bordeaux manager Willy Sagnol revealed that a fee has been agreed and that it will be a roughly 5.5-year deal for the Senegalese international. What do you think of the move for the Bordeaux man, Philip?
So for starters, it's a good move for him personally. He's the only player of Bordeaux, the only outfield player, because I'm not including Carasso, who started every game. He's the only player who has started every single match of Bordeaux. That's 18, aside from a suspension where he got sent off. So first thing we can say about that guy is that he can be played, he can be relied on every single week. So home and away, Steve McClaren can say, okay, I want Cévé, Henri Cévé on the team sheet. He'll be he has a pretty good injury record, which is quite important given Newcastle's history with that. He's a midfielder. I wouldn't class him in the DM role defensive midfielder like Chote or Arnita playing a bit more offensive. I'm thinking more box to box. Probably not that sharp in front of goal, but capable of making a pass, of picking out players, able to play on the wing. So quite a bit of a versatile player for Newcastle. I think it's a good move for him. I haven't heard the transfer fee. It's been confirmed on Newcastle's Twitter that it has been done, but Henri Cévé hasn't confirmed that on his personal Twitter. But he's one of the pillars of this Bordeaux side who, no offense to Bordeaux fans who are listening to us, are not having a good season. And without Cévé, I mean, they do have to reinvest that money. I haven't seen an official fee. Forgive me if I miss that. But Bordeaux will still have to get a player of the mold of Cévé to keep their midfield quite strong, because they do have a strong midfield. They do have a strong midfield, strong defense. And Cévé leaving is going to leave a gap, I think.
Just to confirm that news that you were saying then, Philip, that Newcastle have confirmed on their Twitter that they have signed Henri Cévé on a 5.5-year deal. According to their website, it's an undisclosed fee, but it is believed around the £5 million mark. So the business has been done now, Eric.
So something about €8 million or something.
Yes, it'll be around that mark, I would think.
Yeah,
I think
that's not a lot.
I think it was quoted as 6 to 8. I think originally for the Euros, but I am reading 5 million around English sources. Eric, what do you think to the move? Is he a good addition to the Newcastle squad? Can he really help their struggling season?
Yeah, I think so. I think that we were talking about how Newcastle set up. It generally tends to be with two central midfielders, whether they're playing 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1. Jack Colback and Brandon Anita have been the starters in most matches this season, and I think that Cévé really would offer a different physical dimension to these two. He's an excellent header of the ball, despite only being 5'9". 5'10", somewhere in that neighborhood. He's got good pace, good energy. He's got good ability with the ball at his feet, which is something that neither Colback or Anita really have in spades. And I think that he could be. Maybe this comparison's a bit too far, but a little bit of a poor man's Blaise Matuidi. Probably without the defensive work ethic that Matuidi is asked to do in PSG's midfield, but with a little bit more trickery going forward. Again, Cévé came up as a winger or a second striker, playing in those positions under Gillot when he was the manager at Bordeaux prior to Sagnol, in the 3 seasons prior to Sagnol's tenure there. And I feel like Cévé offers a bit more going forward than does Anita, and could really be a great conduit. I mean, Newcastle's one strength is that they are a pretty decent counterattacking team. And that tends to be how a lot of their effectiveness is within the Premier League. And Cévé is the type of player who, with the ability, the ball at his feet, the ability to win the ball in the air, I think can really be a potential game changer for Newcastle going forward and sort of creating instant offense. He's a bit more cultured than most midfield destroyers would be, owing to his coming up as an attacking player, so he's got that going for him. He isn't, again, the most physically imposing at 5'9", but he does have a good leap. He's quick, and I think he'd make a good upgrade over Anita or Colback, or whether he's played alongside Cheick Tiote. I think that he, on current form, I think is he's done whatever's been asked of him in different tactical situations with different midfield partners at Bordeaux, showing not only a willingness to work for the team, but a real positional versatility against Montpellier on Saturday. He was played at the base of a 4-3-3, which is pretty much as deep as he's ever been played in his career, other than a few other times this season. And he did really well. He was winning tackles, he was completing passes, bringing the ball out to Maurice Bellet and Placile to get the attack started. He really showed himself to be a complete player, and he's a player about whom I've had some doubts earlier in the season, specifically with regards to his positional discipline. But I think he's going to be a player that's sorely missed by Bordeaux, especially with their current injury situation. I mean, Clement Chanton was playing central defense on Saturday. It's just speaks to the situation that Bordeaux are in. So they're going to miss him. And I think that he'll be an upgrade for Newcastle no matter how he's deployed.
Just to dispel some confusion around Henri Saivet that I've seen on Twitter in the recent couple of days from English fans, believing he's a winger. He has been played on the wing this season, but not often. It's only been in 2 games for small spells that he's been played on the wing. He's predominantly a central midfielder that has been employed as a defensive midfielder at times this season. He scored 3 goals altogether in all competitions and is as you said, Eric, I think he's a good header of the ball for his size. He's a good tackler, likes to get involved in that side of the game, and will be in that 2 role in the midfield a potentially valuable asset. But Philip, we just said a moment ago that the deal is believed to be around £5 million mark, the €8 million. Is that a good deal for both clubs?
I think it's a very good deal for Newcastle. Bordeaux probably could have. I'm not sure what his contract situation is. There's a lot of French clubs who are under pressure.
He was out of contract in 2017.
So still 18 months to run on the contract then.
Yes, there would have been. Yeah.
No, I think maybe a bit more. £5 million to me is sure. It's not a lot of money for Newcastle, to be honest, given the amount they have on with what was the TV deals. I think, of course, you have to take into account the exchange rate. I think minimum £10 million would have been good. I mean, Newcastle, just like any English side, is compared to a Ligue 1 budget like Bordeaux, and especially Bordeaux, because you had since they won the leagues, they haven't invested in anyone really. And we all know the money is not particularly there. They've adopted the Lyon stance of giving youth its chance. It's not working particularly well over the past few years. Been a few Europa League finishes and that. So yeah, if I were Trio, I probably would have negotiated for £10 million. But then again, it's they are in a certain situation that if Trio sees €8 million, he'll probably snatch your hand with the offer. So in a way, I think he was probably not under pressure, but those offers may not come that often for him, especially Newcastle, because Newcastle are under some kind of pressure now because they're in the relegation zone, in 18th spot. So they need a player. They need more, shall we say, energy. They need more creativity. They need more stamina in their side. Sorry, and Saivet can provide that. So I think £10 million would have been a perfect deal for both clubs. But I certainly feel that Bordeaux are being shortchanged there.
Just to add to the point I made earlier about Henri Saivet's position, to clarify a little bit more, as my editor-in-chief Christian Norris pointed out, that he used to be a winger, so that might be why there is a little bit of confusion about his positioning. He's been regularly touted on that and moved back into midfield in the last season or so, and I'm also enjoying Football Manager tweeting that they're partying like it's 2008 now. He's signed for Newcastle, having been a favourite on the gaming platform. But going back to Henri Saivet and Newcastle, it's the 12th player, Eric, that the club have signed since 2011 from Ligue 1. They've had quite a few hits and quite a few considerable misses. Do you think this is likely to be another one of the hits, or is he and is he suited to the Premier League game, or is he someone who could flounder?
Honestly, it's tough to say. I do think that he's an upgrade on either Anita, Colback, or Tiote. I think that he at 25 seems to have reached a new level of maturity, and I think that he could really be a plus for the team on the pitch. But let's remember, there's going to be a bedding-in period, both in terms of language and the tactical nuances and pace of the Premier League, and yes, tactical nuances even under Steve McLaren. It's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period, but I think he really can come good. If we look at the players that have come to Newcastle and struggled, I'm looking at the likes of Remy Cabella. He's played out of position. Florian Thauvin. We knew he was immature before he went to Newcastle. The only player that's really not come off that well, I think, for Newcastle, and has been surprising to me if we really look at the player's track record in Ligue 1, was Mapuyanga Mbiwa. And I think by and large, Newcastle have done fairly well in bringing players in from Ligue 1, the likes of Cabaye, Debuchy, even Yoann Gouffran was fairly impressive upon his arrival. The club seem to have a fairly good handle on what's going on in France, and I do think that he would make a good upgrade if he doesn't immediately fit into the starting 11, owing to what naturally comes into bedding in for players. I do think that by season's end he'll be an important part of the team. And the fact they're signing him to such a long contract, I think also speaks volumes to their thoughts about him. Again, this isn't a prospect. This is a player who's 25, who has shown an incredible willingness to work for the team in an entirely new position this season. Has been handed the captain's armband by Willy Sagno, which was really surprised. Look at some of the other players in the team, like Sabasane or Carasso or Diabate, who seem to be more natural captains in the absence of Sertic. And I think that his maturity and his willingness to work are a great asset, and that's not something that we've necessarily seen from some of the players who have been quote-unquote flops that have come from Liga.
Interesting. Thank you for that, Eric, and I hope that clears up some of the questions that Newcastle fans have on their new signing. We change track now back to Liga, and Lyon hosted their first game at their new stadium this weekend, and they opened with a 4-1 victory at Troyes. It wasn't quite as straightforward as they hoped to be, Eric, from the beginning, but this was a much-needed win back in Liga, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this was again another. Even though it was nervy in the end, I think that this is, as we talked about briefly last week, a real way to show how this 4-3-3 can work going forward. Clément Grenier had sort of been the forgotten man in how well Lyon had played last season, and he was a player who had missed pretty much all 2014-15 and some important parts of 2013-14 with a series of injuries. People were sort of starting to write him off as the next Yoann Gourcuff, being that he was, this sort of playmaker on the tall side who was very elegant but had a rather dodgy injury history. And, the comparison between the two was a fairly apt one at that point. But he's still only 24. He's, now coming back into form, and I think that he had 2 assists on the night, a lovely through ball for Lacazette, and he set up Ferry's goal from a corner as well. And I think that, for the time being, again, like I said, until Nabil Fekir comes back and is at the top of his game, the thing that's going to make the most sense for Lyon is to run the attack through Clément Grenier. If he can hold on to his health, playing this 4-3-3 looks like it's really going to suit him. He gets a good balance from Ghezal on the other side. Lacazette seemed happy on the night. Allows the midfielders to get involved as well. Likes of Jordan Ferry and Tolisso as well. I really don't think that there's much that you could knock Lyon for on the occasion. Again, it was a little bit nervy until late on, but all in all, I think it was a really fantastic effort and a great way to open the new stadium. You could tell when Lacazette scored that first goal, which is really a good finish, by the way, to hold off the defender and finish across the goalie. There was no doubt that this is a team that has the real potential to be catalyzed and to be energized by the opening of this new stadium and this new manager and this new tactical system. Again, the top places below PSG and Ligue 1 are still anybody's battle. I'd say probably somewhere from Marseille on up, honestly. And Lyon have every chance, playing with this new energy and this new motivation to return to the Champions League after what's been a rather ignominious season to date.
Yeah, and it's great to see Clement Grenier back again. I mean, he's a man we seem to forget on occasions. He's injured so often and so frequently in the last couple of years, and much like Johan Gorkov, he'll probably be linked with Arsenal again in the summer if his form continues like that. But Philippe, what was the reaction in France for Lyon's win in their brand new stadium?
I think it was most of all a huge sigh of relief because had you not beaten Troyes so far, the worst side in French football history, they conceded a wonderful goal from Troyes, and they did score with 20 odd minutes to go. Gizal put them 2-1 up, and then Ferry was a quite wonderful strike, made it 3-1 and put the game beyond doubt. So Genesio will be extremely relieved to have won his first league match. So that's 2 wins on the trot, and there was a bit of pressure there, a bit like the last home game at Gerland against Angers. This was the first home game, and it needed to be won. And it was. So this is extremely important for Lyon, and the reaction was okay. Well, the baptism of fire, shall we say, has been a success. The housewarming party has gone well, and now Lyon find themselves just 4 points from third, and this is what they should be aiming. I also like that Genesio is sticking with the 4-3-3. I think it's a smart move. I reckon that Jallet playing has been a major plus. It has not been noted by the media. I reckon Grenier has had the headlines. Yes, he played very well, but Jallet also made two assists, so the same amount as Grenier, and I think Lyon just defend better. I mean, it's extremely obvious to say, but Lyon just are such a better unit with Jallet, be it in a 4-2-3-1 or in a 4-4-2, a diamond-shaped 4-4-2, which was more Fournier's formation, or lately in a 4-3-3. So what next for Lyon? They've got a whole half season to focus on, and they basically only have the league and do as well as they can in the cups. And next up is the derby at Geoffroy Guichard. I think they're in form. Well, they're obviously in form. I think they're confident now about what they can do. Like I said, it's scoring. Grenier's back. If they can get all those players back, all the players like Jallet back, I think they can make a second spot their own. I mean, they do have to. We haven't discussed this possibility yet, but who will become second and who will join PSG in the Champions League next season? It's a question that we're going to have to ask ourselves in the next couple of weeks. And quite frankly, I would go for Lyon because of the project, because of the new stadiums, the youth setup, etc., etc. There's always Monaco. Angers-Caen would be great to see them against the Champions League side, but I think Lyon have started the year very, very well. Spoke to a lot of French friends who support Lyon, and they said that in the spirit something has changed. I mean, the players are a bit more free, a bit smiling a bit more. So it's good. All round it's good, and I think it's good for French football as well.
It's good to see Lyon trying to pick up wins again. A slightly controversial moment in that game, Eric, was Claudio Beauvau's rather unusual celebration to his goal. What was going on there?
This player needs to go. Toxic doesn't even begin to describe the atmosphere surrounding his actions and surrounding the fans' reaction to those actions. On paper, when he was signed over the summer, I said to myself, okay, this is a guy who can score in Ligue 1, can be necessary deputy for Lacazette, particularly if Lyon do advance into the knockout stages and have a really busy fixture list through January and February. But as the season started and it became apparent, especially after Fekir's injury, that Bohu wasn't willing to submit himself to playing the way that Lyon wanted to tactically, and that he was going to have a bad attitude, my appreciation of him has severely diminished. Whether he's agitating for a move abroad or to the Premier League, or to another team in Ligue 1 or to the Premier League or what, he's going about it wrong. Players that make a name for themselves and move abroad within Ligue 1 have generally done so by showing how they can fit into a system and play in an intelligent way. Clinton Elngy is one example of this, who's moved abroad to a fairly highly regarded club simply by doing what's been asked of him. Claudio Bovu's not showing any willingness to do this, and it's this kind of attitude is going to make it increasingly hard for Lyon to offload him, which seems to be something that he wants as a player and that the team wants as well. It's just a really frustrating turn of circumstances. I mean, this player had been frankly inspirational for Guingamp over the past 2 years, both in winning the Cup 2 years ago and in their performance in the Europa League last year. And to see things go sour so quickly is really disappointing. And I don't know what's to come of this. I mean, honestly, I know Aulas is trying to wring every penny from every dollar, but frankly, at this point, I'd be willing to let Bovu go on a free. There's no way this is sustainable, especially with the ethos that Lyon have historically cultivated in terms of a culture of togetherness surrounding young players, surrounding the academy, surrounding a philosophical outlook as regards the players' actions within the team.
Philip, just coming back to what you said about them possibly finishing second, we were talking on the Mercato show earlier today that with Bisevac leaving for Lazio and rumours that Kone and even Lindsay Rose might still be going out the door, and no centre-back cover necessarily coming in, do they have enough to hold on to second place? Is there another team in Liga that will probably challenge them to the end?
In terms of personnel defensively, I think this basically means that Lyon won't be particularly bothered if they bow out of the cups. I don't expect them to beat PSG on Wednesday in the Coupe de la Ligue quarter-final. Beat a few minnows in the Coupe de France. I don't expect them to get knocked out by Chambly. I would hope not. But this is basically the strategy of say, okay, if you want to leave, just leave, and we'll just try and finish second with what we have, which is fairly, which is fair enough, honestly. If I were Aulas and Lacombe, I would probably agree with them. But there are going to be injuries, just like there were in the first half of the season. After what happened last season, I can't really blame them because it's such an attacking mentality that they had last season. Just the defending was okay, but the attacking it was more of the forward thinking of the system under Fournier, and I think that's what they want to bring back. Basically, more of a maybe a bit of a we'll score more goals than we concede kind of thing, I reckon.
Well, I would take issue with that, Philip. I think that we talked earlier in the season. I mean, Lyon had the league's best defense through the first 12 or 13 weeks. Then the injuries of Jallet and Umtiti happened, and you saw results like the Montpellier match, the Paris Saint-Germain match, and things started to really get out of hand. But prior to that, I think Lyon had the best, if not one of the best defenses in the league. I think that defensive solidity needs to be how any team constructs himself for success in Ligue 1. Even PSG do it. I mean, as much as we like to poke fun at Thiago Silva and David Luiz, these are two strong physical defenders, and Thiago Motta sits well in front of them. I think Lyon aim to do the same thing. With Umtiti back, I think that defense has to be the bedrock of the way that they play.
The thing is, if they do that, I mean, with Kone apparently gone, I mean, he doesn't seem to have the close favor anymore, and Bizevac gone. It doesn't seem much. It doesn't leave much behind Umtiti and Younger Mbiwa, who was arguably the worst player of Ligue 1 of the first half of the season. So I'm not really sure. I mean, why would they want to, apart from maybe?
Well, they have Bakary Kone, they have Lindsay Rose.
Yeah.
Both of whom are uneven and have a mistake in them. I don't think they should have sold Bizevac. Again,
Neither have I. I mean, honestly, when Bizevac was playing, I think it was against Ghent in the Champions League. I thought that he made them look quite solid and structured. I mean, if I would have sold someone, if the decision was mine, it would have been Kone or Rose, but not Bisevac. He's he's quite actually valuable, and I'm a bit surprised he hasn't played a bit more than 6 games this season.
Sure, he struggled with injury as well. He's a bit slower, but he doesn't have the mistakes in him that Kone and Rose do. Honestly, Kone you're not going to get much of a fee for. The deal for Rose that had been mooted was a loan move to Sunderland, but a loan move to Lorient. But when the move for Lamine Kone to Sunderland fell through, Lorient sort of pulled the rug out from under that, and I kind of wonder now if Lyon are regretting not seeing that through because they had sold Bisevac while the Rose deal was sort of on the cards. It's a really frustrating situation. I think they should keep Rose at the moment and see how he develops. I know he's had some issues with attitude, but he was a very highly regarded prospect when he was brought in, and I still think he needs the chance to develop. And the more time he spends with what, again, aside from Beauvais, seems to be a fairly harmonious Lyon team. I think the more chance he'll have the more chances that there are that he can mature and become a really assured central defender. So for me, I think Lyon need to get back to focusing on that defense that had been the bedrock of their success, both in the first 10 to 12 weeks of this season domestically and as well as last season.
Yeah,
could have still played Morel at centre back with Bidimo at left back if push comes to shove.
If push comes to shove, that might have to happen.
Well, I think it would be better than playing Bidimo at centre back. I've never seen that actually.
I don't think they'll risk that. I don't think. No. I think Morel might be a more. Strange as it sounds, it might be a more sensible idea.
But Nathan, did you hear any rumours of players coming in to replace Bisevac? Because if they do sell Kone and then Rose as well, then they're really short for numbers.
No,
Kone is not going anywhere from anything I've heard.
Okay.
The situation as it is, just to clear everything up, Bisevac had his contract mutually cancelled on his behalf. He doesn't want to be under Bruno Genesio. They seem to have fallen out before he'd even taken charge, so he was always out the door. The Lindsay Rose deal had no effect on it. That might still happen should someone come back in for Kone. There's rumours that Aston Villa might be interested. Surprise, surprise. So that might still be something happening. He's looking to sell Kone because he's out of contract in the summer, and they're not looking to sign him into a new contract. They would like to recoup some kind of fee for him if they can, even if it's minimal. He might be interested.
Yeah.
I believe there's interest from Middle East. I think it was from for Bakary Kone. I will double check in a moment. But just very quickly to finish on Lyon, Eric, I just want to get your opinion. We were talking about Henri Bedimo, who's been linked with a move away. He's out of contract in the summer, and we've been told in the last couple of hours that he's not had contract discussions and there's none forthcoming at the moment. If he is to move in January, is that a big blow to Lyon if Henri Bedimo goes?
Pardon me. Yes, I think so. I think that he's been a good servant for the team. I think that he's not always the best in tracking back, but when he's on his game, he's really electric to watch going forward. I still can't believe that Benoit Suakata was starting over him for Cameroon at the World Cup in 2014. I think it would be a loss. I mean, not only for squad depth, but for what he's added to the team since coming over from Montpellier. I think that Bedimo has been a great player and has provided Lyon with some really fun electric moments.
Yeah, and just to confirm what I was saying earlier, Bakary Kone has had contact with a Turkish club. I'm not going to say it because I will get it wrong. So he has had contact with a Turkish club, and they are looking to get rid of Kone in this window if they can for a fee, because they don't want him to allow him to leave for free in the summer. Also, Lindsay Rose had a loan offer from Hellas Verona of Italy that was rejected by Lyon because they will keep him should if they can't have another deal in as well. Olas has also revealed that a lot of the young players that have been involved in the UEFA Youth League in Europe might get their chances this season as well, and he's very hopeful about that young group. So it's more likely that young players will come through.
Just to quickly jump in here, I'll throw out here very quickly. Mukhtar Diakabi, French Under-19 international, looked magnificent at the Under-19 Euros. If he can get a chance to get some first team action towards the run, and if Lyon have secured their league place to some degree of certainty, he's really one to watch out for. Big, physical, good presence, very agile. I think he's really one to watch should he get a chance to play in the first team. Mukhtar Diakabi.
Yeah, a name certainly to keep out for, because there will be young players from Lyon coming in the near future. That's also a nod to the Mercato show. Do tune in because you get a lot of your information that way. We'll move on to Marseille, who failed to win again at home. We mentioned in the news it's been a long while since they have won at the Velodrome. Officially, it's been 118 days since they last picked up 3 points at home, which is a span of 4 months, and it's their worst home run in 54 years. Philip, what's going wrong?
When you look at the game yesterday, it was, to me, the first half wasn't that bad. Loussel, the Guingamp goalkeeper, did have to pull up a couple of saves to avoid his side going behind. And then Ocampos got injured. It's quite ironic, really, because Marseille did play Ocampos to sell him, basically, to say, okay, we've got this little player. He's not very good, but, you know, he can still do a thing or two. And he gets injured, so they can't sell him anymore. And then so he gets replaced by Anguissa. Then Barada plays on the right wing, position he's not really accustomed to. He's more accustomed to the left-hand side, but Nkoudou has made the left wing his own. And the second half was just absolutely poor. And to be honest, Zuccar didn't really help, because I thought Marseille didn't play that badly in the first half, and then the fans were really not happy with the 0-0 scoreline, especially when you do consider that Guingamp did lose every single of their last 5 league games in 2015. Yes, 3 of those were away from home, but still, I don't know. I don't think the players had the needed bottle to basically say, okay, the fans aren't happy, let's try and make things right, because they couldn't. They've got too many players who are out. Alessandrini not playing is a big loss in terms of creativity, in terms of going forward quickly, in terms of coming inside and giving the balls to Batshuayi. Batshuayi, who, I mean, he tried it, he did his best, you know. It's hard. It must be extremely hard when you've got players like Barada on the right wing, and you've got Ocampos getting injured, because Ocampos actually looked quite good before ruining his ankle. So I don't really think there's some kind of trauma there. I think Marseille have got a bit of a home jinx, if you will, after 2 very good opening home games for Michel, in which they won 6-0 against Troyes and 4-1 against Bastia. They haven't won since. So that was September 13th. I think it's a bit of both being unlucky. And I honestly don't think the fans should be on there in that sort of fashion, because it is what it is. It's not a side that is destined to play Champions League spots. They sold everyone they can. They're trying desperately to sign off to sell, Steve Mandanda, who's on 300 grand a month, and the only clubs that are willing to take him on are clubs like Aston Villa and Norwich. No disrespect if there are listeners who are listening to us, but Mandanda is is still a very, very good goalkeeper who should be playing European football week in, week out. So I think the crowd are a bit unreasonable with all the booing there, because the squad in itself is not that good, and there's a lot of injuries.
And hearing that Ocampos played well might be a sign of the apocalypse, but
yeah,
no, we'll leave that one for him. I don't want to bully him too much, but Eric, there were chants at one point during the game for Marcelo Bielsa, which might sting La Brune a little bit. Is the pressure starting to increase on Michel?
It's hard to put Michel to blame for this after the way Marseille botched their transfer window. Look at all the deals that they tried to go through. It's obvious this club were forced to sell due to the increased stadium rent and the general pressures by the DNCG and all the issues that surround all the teams in Ligue 1 financially outside of PSG. This is because of the financial regulations in France always going to be a very tough way to sustain success. And when you're losing players the caliber of Andre Pierre-Gignac, of a Dimitri Payet, of an Andre Ayew, of a Jean-Eli Mbula, there's no way to simply recover from that. Even Jeremy Morel, was important for Marseille at times last season. The transfer policy is what the fans should be booing. I hope if they're booing, they're not booing the current players, who I do feel are for the most part trying and are giving their all. But I think that those boos need to be directed to the hierarchy and to be asking, why did you let the contracts of the likes of an Ayew and a Gignac run down? What happened to all that money that you got for Lamina? What happened to all that money you got for Mbula? Why are we getting in Jorge Rolando? Why are we getting in Karim Rekic? There's not that, why is the best signing of the season a player in Diarra who we got in for free? There's no motivation on the part of Marseille's hierarchy to invest in this team as they had in the past. I mean, think about some of the signings they've had in previous summers, the likes of a Romain Alessandrini, the likes of a Payet. Those were players who, outside of PSG, were some of the biggest fees paid by French teams in those respective transfer windows. That's what sustained Marseille's success for so long, is being one of the kingpins in terms of picking players from other French clubs. And now that they lack the means to do that, based on competition from the likes of a Monaco, a Lyon, even a Rennes, Marseille have found themselves at sea, and there's no one to blame for this besides the club's hierarchy. If they're not willing to invest, those chickens are eventually going to come home to roost. Do I think Bielsa would have done a better job with this squad of players than Michel? Probably, but his frustrations were likely based upon the way that the club operated in the transfer market over the summer. And it's really hard to fault Bielsa for that. To see all these players sold out from under him with barely any hint of an effort. I mean, okay, sure, maybe Gignac and Ayew were already out the door, but what about Payet? It's just a really frustrating way to approach the transfer window for what, all things being said, is still, in terms of support, France's biggest club. It's just a really frustrating circumstance. Huh?
By a country mile.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even comparable to PSG or Saint-Etienne or Lyon.
Or Lyon. No, but in all seriousness, it's really frustrating to see. I mean, this is, fans of the English game will like to joke about how United have mismanaged their transfer window. The distance that Marseille have fallen in comparison to a team like Manchester United is there's no point of comparison. It's to let all of your young, exciting players go, and to spend a pittance on bringing in has-beens or borderline prospects And again, don't get me wrong. Some of these have worked out better than one could have expected. Diarra and Kudu. It just makes no sense.
I'm very
By the
thankful.
way, I've been looking at Mario Lemina because actually I have not heard of him since. He played 5 games for Juventus in a half season. Just goes to show, he probably would have played a bit more at Marseille, and he's not injured. Hasn't been injured.
Oh, sure, but I mean, how do you break into that midfield? I mean, it's not exactly hard to fault him for that.
Well, yeah, exactly. But so why did they? I mean, why did they learn him? I know because of the wage bill and stuff, but it's a bit. It's a shame. Been talking about the Mandanda situation. Something that's really, really. I'm not going to say troubling me because I don't think about it every day either. But it's just they don't know what to do because they want to get a few millions so that they can sell him now, and I've been asking around, and even if Mandanda asked to stay at the club for the same wage, Marseille are going to say no. They say, no, you're too expensive. They've only got 2 high earners, that's Nkudu and Mandanda. And ultimately they're going to get rid of them both. I mean, it's sad. It's really sad, really, to see how a club with such a great squad. I mean, they really did have a great squad last season. It was really good. I mean, it really is actually a shame that it didn't make the Champions League because they would have kept everyone. It's yeah.
To the disappointment, it's good for the club that Mandanda has announced that he is definitely staying at least to the end of this season. So it looks like he's put that interest to bed.
Well, I think he said that because when you saw the type of clubs that are interested in him, he said, I'm holding for something better, and
who would blame him? Yeah.
No disrespect, of course. Once again.
Exactly. But very quickly, on a slightly more positive note for Marseille, Eric, they tied up deals for Michy Batshuayi and Benjamin Mendy this week. They're signed to 2020 and 2019 respectively. It might be just simply to get better figures for them, but that's good news for the fans, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, if we look at this team, those two need to be the future. And by acting aggressively in this manner to sign these 2 new contracts, we've seen similar behavior from Lyon with their young stars in the recent past. It's ensuring that either these players are going to stay and grow and blossom in Liga, or that the fees commanded for them are going to allow the club to be able to reinvest on a serious level. I think the club helped the club realized how their missteps in the summer transfer window had left them a little bit short, and are doing something to redress that situation so it doesn't catch them off again this upcoming summer.
Tis certainly some good news to tie down some very talented young players. We're going to do our heroes and villains section now, so we'll start with you, Eric, if you've got some prepared. Who's your hero and villain for this week?
Hero Clément Grenier. For a player who was so integral down the stretch in the 2012-13 season, both he and Anthony Lopez were sort of the surprising heroes to propel Lyon back into the Champions League that season. A real surprise after they've been offloading players left and right around that time. Yes, they lost to Sociedad in the playoff round, but that to me was sort of what really affirmed my love of the team, not the prior successes. And to see him back and at his best, clicking with Lacazette, clicking with Ghezal, really playing a fine match, I think that he can really be the way forward for Lyon this season. And it's just fantastic to see. This is a player who's been capped a half dozen times for France. He's not nobody. He's just been injured for 2 years. It's great to see him back.
Philip, have you got a hero for this week?
Yes, Wissam Ben Yedder, the Toulouse striker, who scored a hat-trick at Reims this weekend on Saturday, with some great finishes. Questionable defending, but some good finishes, and a much needed win for Dominique Arribagé's Toulouse.
And we'll be discussing him in just a moment as well. Have you got a villain for us, Eric?
Claudio Beauvau. You can't do that on the opening of a new stadium with a sold out crowd and not alienate yourself even further from the team than you already have. It's just really frustrating.
It is a disappointment. And Philip, have you got a villain?
There's a Marseille crowd for booing the players, because I do reckon they were booing the players because of the whole game being very, very poor kind of thing. I think they were just going through the motions and booing the actual players. I don't think they were. It was intended to the management, which has been quite well accepted this season. So Marseille faithful.
That's an interesting one. I will add just very quickly two heroes from today, and that is PSG centre-back Thiago Silva and Juventus midfielder and French international Paul Pogba for making the FIFA 11 at the Ballon d'Or ceremony earlier today. Congratulations to both of them. It's great to see Thiago Silva, a Ligue 1 player, recognised in such a way as no Premier League players made it into the lineup, but Thiago Silva made it in, and Paul Pogba recognised for his excellent efforts as he continues to grow to be one of the best centre midfielders in the world football. We finish with something that Philip has already touched on in his heroes and villas as the game between two strugglers at the weekend, Toulouse and Reims. The former managed a 3-1 win away from home, and the aforementioned Wissam Ben Yedder scored a decent hat-trick. Eric, has that firmly put him in the shop window? He's been linked with a number of clubs so far.
Yeah, I tweeted about this a few weeks ago. I think he had scored in I can't remember whether it was the Coupe de la Ligue or in the Cup. And yeah, he's just been on a tear lately, and it's no surprise to see him shifting up a gear to get. Yeah, he had scored a brace against Rennes in the Coupe de la Ligue. It's no surprise to see him kicking up a level. I mean, this is a player who's basically been asleep for most of 2015. Now he has the chance to get a move away from a club who are, even best case scenario, are probably no better than 12th or 13th in the table. The likes of Marseille are linked. The likes of Lyon are linked. It's no surprise to see him try to put his best foot forward to get a move up the table, as it were.
Philip, the quoted amount that Toulouse are looking for is around the €10 million mark. Do you think that's fair value on the Tunisian?
Yeah, it's very fair value because basically Ben Yedder is the only quality player Toulouse can offer on the transfer market in an attacking sense. I mean, they've got Lafont, who just got his big break as a goalkeeper. He's a very good one as well. Diop, also from the youth side. But when Ben Yedder is going to leave, Toulouse are going to be in big trouble. This is why I'm backing Toulouse to stay up. It's a massive win. What happened on Saturday? It just goes. They were 4 points behind with a terrible goal difference, and now they are within touching distance of Reims, and it's just an absolutely massive win. They didn't play very well. Actually, Ben Yedder's goal was more down to Reims not defending very well, more than Ben Yedder being world class. And I can see, to me, this has a Marseille signing written all over it. It really reminds me of Nkoudou. Like I think he'd jump at the chance to play for Marseille. That guy. There's a chairman of Toulouse. I can't remember his name. He must make a deal with whoever wants him that he stays at Toulouse for the remainder of the season. Otherwise, Toulouse are going down. I mean, there will be no goals scored by Braithwaite. I mean, a couple, but obviously not enough. It's with him, Toulouse have a chance. I'm just going to make a quick roundup of the bottom sides and who may go down, and who I really do not think will go down. And unfortunately for the bottom four, I cannot see anyone from the 16 other teams going down. Bastia defended superbly in the second half against PSG, not just beat Saint-Etienne. Montpellier, yeah, maybe, but to me, Troyes will probably be down there, given that they've only got 8 points. Guingamp, I can see a few fight there. Toulouse and Reims. and more pretty maybe with a managerial change. So Toulouse really need to get that 17th spot, because I can't really see anyone who will be in the mix unless Gazilek fall apart or something like that. So just wanted to make that assumption on the first match day of the second half of the season, just to put things back into perspective and see who will go where from here on in. But I don't expect it to change that much.
And that FIFA with Sambadiere, circling back to that, might put off Marseille and Lyon at the moment, as we understand, but you never know. A couple of moves here and there, and that fee might change, or the money might be available for those clubs to bring him in, because he is highly rated in France. But going on to Reims and their struggles at the moment, Eric, that defeat meant that they've won just one game in their last 14 in all competitions. They're just a point outside the drop zone above Toulouse now. They let in 3 relatively sloppy goals, and lost a man and were 1-0 ahead. Could they be going down this year, Eric?
I mean, we said it last year, and it didn't happen. It's hard.
We were quite confident of it last year, yeah.
Well, I thought they looked a lot better last year. I mean, that's the thing. This team seems to have a little bit more cohesion going forward. But the recent injuries to the likes of Boulot and Grosjean Kier is a long-term absentee as well as the loss of Benjamin Mukanjo, have really taken me by surprise. They're not as poor as they were defensively last year, the weekend's result notwithstanding. But it's frustrating to see this team struggle in attack. Now that they've made the defensive improvements that they had wanted to. I mean, right now they're 27 goals conceded from 20 matches, but if they hadn't conceded so many they're basically average in Ligue 1. The sixth best defense is Rennes with 23, so they're right there in terms of what they're needing to do defensively. There's just such a paucity of skill and attack, and Guégan seems rather stubborn in the way that he's operating. We've talked before on the show about how Nico Di Preble's had a good season, but the likes of a Jordan Sibacheu seem to have been given a decent enough run out, and it's a frustrating situation for a team that has a lot of interesting young attackers, but don't seem to be the players in that attacking there don't seem to be let off the leash as much as one might like, both in terms of their opportunities and in terms of the way they're approaching things tactically. And yeah, it's a frustrating situation for a team that I think has really done a lot of credit to itself over the past couple of years under Vasseur, and now under Guégan to earn promotion and to stay in Ligue 1.
And the pressure mounts on Guégan, and I will bang the Jordan Sibacheu drum until the end of the season if he doesn't get more regular game time. But I also think that if I was a club like Marseille, I don't think it's massively out of the realm that while he might not provide the goals, I think Nicolas de Preville will be a decent signing for a number of clubs with his creative abilities this season. I think he's been clearly their best player so far, and he might be open to a move if Reims continue in this sort of vein. Philip, are you thinking they're going down again? Are you predicting those to join the likes of Troyes, who look doomed already?
Well, that's the idea already. I haven't done the whole analysis yet, but I haven't watched all 4 teams consistently yet. But it's going to be that time of the season again. It's going to be again quite wonderful because Reims are 17th, and they are only, shall we say, 5 points from mid-table. So that leaves quite a bit of sides. But again, I do not think that. I think that the bottom 4 will remain the bottom 4, and I just can't make. It's going to go. I'm really not sure about. I do believe that Reims will implode and basically let in all the goals at some point during the second half of of the season. Of course, I've done my fair share of prediction with them last season, and I was wrong, so they'll probably prove me wrong. But yes, from what I've been watching, I reckon Reims will go down.
And hopefully that might just inspire them again. Well, that's all we have from this week's show. My thanks to Eric and Philip, as always, for joining me. Thank you all for listening at home, and we will see you next week. Have a good evening.